Hey, welcome back to another episode of the YouSchool podcast. We talk about these most important conversations and ideas for parents and educators of teenagers to prepare kids to lead and live meaningful lives. And I'm sure you're like me. Obviously, I want my kids and the kids I care about to become self sufficient, to have successful careers, but there's so much more than that. There's so much more to life than just doing well in school and job and taking care of your bills. So what we're trying to do is provide a roadmap of the conversations, the skills, the experiences, all the things that we need to be showing our kids, revealing to our kids, giving to them, so that they have everything that they need. And we don't wake up someday and think, "Darn it, wish we had given them that." So here's the kind of pop quiz for this episode. If you could choose for your kids, what would you want them to have? Do you want them to have just, and you could have anything. You wave your magic wand, and they could have all the talent in the world, just filled with talent, natural, just God given, however you would describe that talent, or intelligence. I mean, they can, particularly when it relates to school, knowing things, knowledge, memory, just dominating that sort of like book smarts, heady sort of content. Or the third would be the school of hard knocks, grit, street smarts, social skills, the kind of invisible, intangible quality that some maybe entrepreneurs have. Maybe you have it as well. Well, research has shown, and when I talk about research, I talk about Angela Duckworth. I got the book here somewhere. This is kind of an oldie but a goodie. It's great TED Talk, great, excellent book. Angela Duckworth has done a ton of research on the power of passion and perseverance. It turns out, and you're probably not going to be that surprised to know that people who have grit, who have an element of perseverance, regardless of the cause, regardless of the roadblocks, regardless of what happens, do better in life. They're more successful. And study after study have been shown that people with higher IQ will lose against someone who has grit. So people who are not as smart or as talented, yet they have this resilience, this grittiness, this stick-to-itness, will outperform, outlast, and do better in all areas of life. How do you do it? How do you build grit? There are a number of ways, and we're going to talk through a bunch of them. This one is very short, very simple. One way to build grit inside your kids, whether they're 10, 20, or 40, is to help them understand and know their backstory. Your opportunity is to help them, remember, to know who they are, where they come from, and what they've been through. That's their backstory. To actually recall for them, retell them, tell them stories about where they come from, what they've been through, who they are. And the research has shown that people who know their backstory, who are familiar with it, who think about it, where that backstory is a source of content for their everyday life, do better in life. They are gritty. They are resilient. So look for ways, and you don't have to create magic ways with your kids, even if they're grumpy 14-year-old kids, to pull out old videos, old photos, baby books, to start sharing. Do you remember that time when? Kids are fascinated by stories about themselves. So use that to your advantage and tell stories that point to interpretations about who they are, where they come from, what they've been through. Because you went through that, you've become. When I saw you go through that, I knew this about you. Remember that time when? I know other people said about you. Those kinds of observations, interpretations on top of the stories, will help a kid have a strong foundation, so that when they face the next challenge, they've got these echoes, these voices, these kind of headlines inside them. I'm someone who works through hard things. I'm someone who's experienced setbacks, and yet I kept going. I'm someone who comes from a family who never give up. We have a family that always keeps persisting and trying, even if it's hard, even when it's hard. That's who I am. That's where I come from. That's the kind of person that I am. That yields resilience, grittiness in the face of setbacks. Will your kid experience setbacks, roadblocks, hardship, failure, rejection? Yes. But will they have what it takes to push through? You're a key part of that as you remind them who they are, where they come from, and what they've been through. That's it. We'll talk about other kind of research-backed, evidence-based strategies, simple strategies that we can use with our kids in future episodes. But for today, that's it. That's the episode. We'll be back next week with another one. See you then. Hey, thanks for joining in on the YouSchool podcast. We'd love to share with you the resources available on our website at theyouschool.com. Not just articles, ebooks, worksheets, and other podcast episodes, but specifically, you should know about a free course we have available called the Real Me course. It's digital, it's interactive, and it'll guide you to get clear about who you are and the great story you could tell with your life. So go register for a free account and get started on the Real Me course today at theyouschool.com. That's theyouschool.com.